Politics is interesting, or perhaps I should say, geopolitics is interesting. Today on Everything Interesting, we're taking a look at the borders of India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. To start with, it's important to bear in mind that the concept of a fixed border is largely a colonial construct. To put it differently, borders were not put in place in South Asia in the same way as they were in Europe. There's a lot more that could be said about the age-old customs and jurisdictions and how they allow for multiple cultures, faiths and communities to peacefully coexist rather than static borders which could be argued cause more conflict. If you'd be interested in hearing about that, let us know in the comments. Let's start with the northern extremity of India, as that's the least contentious. The Himalayan mountain range, where the tallest mountain, Mount Everest, can be found, forms a natural border between the north of India and the Tibetan Autonomous Region of China. The border divides as it moves east to form Nepal, with citizens on either side of the India-Nepal border allowed to pass freely. The borders of Nepal were defined after the Anglo-Gorkha War. For the British, Nepal was a part of an important trading route to Tibet and China. Also, the British were worried about Nepal falling under the Chinese sphere of influence. Hostilities increased until, in 1814, the East India Company declared war on the Gorkha Kingdom. After fierce fighting, the Gorkhas conceded defeat and signed a peace treaty with the British. The treaty took from the Gorkha kings nearly 1/3 of their territories. The British government initially agreed to pay a sum of 200,000 rupees as compensation, but this was annulled in December 1816. The treaty, most importantly, compelled the Nepalese to agree to a drawing of a new permanent border. Jumping forward in time, after 200 years of British rule, Britain announced it would grant India independence in 1946. India was no longer valuable to hold and instead had become a cost that Britain could not service. In August 1947, a British lawyer, Sir Cyril Radcliffe, was given the responsibility of drawing the border that would divide British-ruled India into two new independent nations that would become India and Pakistan. The lines drawn by the British civil servant displaced 15 million people and resulted in more than 2 million people being killed from a combination of the violence that was triggered by this forced migration and disease that spread through refugee camps. Radcliffe was told to base the borderline on the population of Muslims and Hindus. Other factors like economic and communication resources are generally thought to be part of the consideration, but were never officially defined. In addition to the British-controlled territories, there were many other parts controlled by the French, Portuguese, or Omani, as well as more than 500 sovereign princely states ruled by local monarchs. Kashmir remains the only region in the area formerly known as British India that has not been fully integrated into one of the two nations or gained political independence. To the east of India, the Bangladesh-India boundary is the 5th longest in the world. Modern-day Bangladesh was initially incorporated into Pakistan as East Pakistan, but proclaimed independence in 1971. There is so much rich history that could be discussed, and we'll never know what could have been if things had gone differently. We encourage you to do your own research and provide yourself with a better understanding of the world around us.